If you're serious about winning in solos, these are my tips to improve your gameplay and survive longer with higher kills. Disclaimer, I am assuming here that you are a player looking to learn how to medium drop or hot drop. These are not tips on how to play safe and loot for 15 minutes. I define a hot drop by a place where you could expect the first fight to happen within the first minute from landing. So let's get started. My recommendation is to understand the heat map of hot drops before choosing to hot drop, so you can still join the early fights, but at least have the chance to loot a gun, vest and a helmet and one first aid before fighting. For example, in school, the pool building is the least hot. On the stadium in Picado, the bottom floor or the entrances of the boxing ring can be slightly less contested compared to the last floor through the roof openings. As I always mention in my how to win more solos, always scout your surroundings when parachuting. You do not want to know exactly where everyone is, but you need to have a rough image of the potential danger zones around you. When hot dropping, if you are still pressing F to loot, you are already losing the fight before it begins. Learn how to fast loot with the right click drag trick and you will have higher chances of survival. If the weapons are not yet showing from a far distance, make sure to land extremely close to your enemy. In the worst case scenario, you both contest on the same weapon, but at least you know that you have equal chances of picking it up. In addition, you still have your punches with you, so don't underestimate how fast you can kill someone with punches in PUBG. That being said, learn which weapons to pick when you have a pool of weapons available. For example, between a pistol and an AR, if both you and your opponent are trying to pick the same guns, you should always opt for the pistol because it has a way faster reload time. In addition, it has hipfire shooting abilities, its crosshair is tight, so focus on just putting that crosshair on the player. Even if you or they are strafing, you will hit your shots. So in other words, learn which guns reload faster, which guns require a full gun reload, and which guns you can perform the fast reload trick. For me personally, the Vector is my go-to on hot drops because it is the fastest reloading gun in PUBG, and my worst go-to is the M249 or any DMR. When dropping on DMRs or snipers, if your opponent has an actual gun and is within reach, opt for having a fist fight. DMRs have become obsolete in hot drops and chances that you hit a headshot is low if the player in front of you is strafing. If you're a pro CS2 player, you can ignore this tip. If you play on ping anything above 70 milliseconds, opt for medium drops. Otherwise, you will be lingering in the lobby for longer periods than intended due to your inability to loot faster than people with 10 millisecond pings. Once you land, focus on the guy with the gun first. You have enough time to kill the naked guy after finishing the actual threat. There is no skill gain from fighting naked people, so even better, letting them have a gun can make you a better player in the long run. After the first wave of fights, do not rat, unless extremely urgent. Try to stay actively scouting and peek windows and engage in all fights that you can engage in. Whether you get kills or die from mistakes, you learn way more than just sitting in a corner. Now that the zone is closing in, you may either be preparing for the rotation or holding your place because the zone is closing on you. No matter how much you think that there are no more people around you, if you are in a big city, the influx of people will keep coming unless you are very much outside of the next zone. For example, if you are in school, people from apartments will try to push you, or people from Rozhok will try to push you, etc, etc. The best way to avoid dying to rats is that once you feel like you cleared a certain area and that area has a car and you have acceptable loot, grab the car and leave to another active fighting zone, since hearing gunshots is safer than not hearing any in PUBG. If you are planning to stay in the same place because the zone is closing on you, make sure to find a secure way out like a bicycle or e-pickup and keep scouting. Again, sitting in the corner will not teach you anything about PUBG. Even better, secure the car so that no one pops its tires. Your first rotation will depend a lot on your distance to the next zone, but also on the timing at which you leave and the position of the circle compared to the plane path. For example, if you're leaving after the first zone has finished in full, avoid at all costs going to a central compound. A rat will be hiding there undoubtedly. Play edges and focus on rough grounds where they are open enough to see enemies if they are on them and where you can get a chance to have a fair fight. Don't overestimate the players with good positions. The worst 0.1 KD player could be camping the best ridge or house, so have faith in your own skills. I would recommend that you go to places you are familiar with, unless you know how to read the map or have a great mental memory of where the best spots are on the map. It could be a ridge, a rock, or anything. In the worst case scenario, force your way into the best position and try to have a fair fight. When going in extremely late, my advice is to keep driving until you get shot at, then strategically converge to that enemy and kill them, or drive by them. That's why drive-bys are too OP when you master them, since they provide many openers opportunities. If you notice a very good player getting many kills on the feed, try to kill feed chase them. So if you see them killing people nearby your location, engage fast. The faster you get rid of the good players, the easier the game will become to win. But if you are shying away from being the guy who kills those better players, trust me, no one will try to kill them because the majority of the lobby is hiding. Always remember that staying in the blue is the worst thing you can have. You are literally losing health passively, as if you are accepting that someone is shooting at you the whole time. But sometimes you're forced to do it. Therefore, keep in mind that from zone 1 to 3, you can still manage to survive from the burn. At zone 4, the tick starts to become slightly heavier, and at zone 5, you are truly in the danger zone. However, don't underestimate a person coming in from zone 5, because with enough first aids and jammer packs, they can tank for a minute or more outside zone 5, especially if they are on the edges, because distance matters in how harsh the blue zone impact is. With that being said, leave no one behind you. They will rat their way in and try to kill you in the back. That became my motto in PUBG. Therefore, I'd rather die with the guy in the blue than give them the chance to kill me in the back. Again and again, in those tough situations, having a car is going to be your savior, since you can use it as your own moving cover. This is not going to be a guaranteed method for every single game, but for the majority of the games, it will be a net positive. Being stealthy is not as easy as you think it is in PUBG. Now that we are approaching the last few zones, your goal is to play defensive instead of extremely aggressive. This is where playing smart gets you one step closer to the chicken. We are expecting by zone 5 to 6 to have at least 5 kills, which is on average 1 kill per zone. And then in the last few zones, we clean up the rest, which can lead us to 8 or 10 kills for that game. Listening now becomes your most important tool. You need to map every sound to a location on the map. The map is too small, so your brains can handle that much information. Focus on the most disadvantaged people around you, like the sounds coming from outside the white circle and the ones in houses, and try to camp those guys as fast as possible. They're gonna be running in the open and rushing to the next zone, and if you're lucky, they're gonna be at 75 HP instead of 100 HP due to fighting. Since they are the ones in a disadvantage, make sure to position yourself well for these kills and have trigger discipline. This is the time where fast and easy kills are required and not long ass fights. So avoid that you shoot too early or too late and let your enemy have a new cover or smoke their way in. This is also the moment to start collecting more utility and dropping your bullets. We are not at a point where engaging in more than 5 fights is going to happen, therefore you need at most 3 extra mags, averaging 20 bullets per kill, which means 120 bullets outside your gun are enough for 6 extra people, including what's in your gun. The rest of your backpack should be 4 to 5 smokes, 3 stuns, and the rest offensive utilities, whatever you can find around you. The reason why we want 5 smokes is because each smoke can cover 10 meters. And if placed correctly with the fact that some players can miss bullets, you can make it safely to your next cover inside the zone with that many smokes. Finally, I will leave it to you to play your last circle. This is the time where I do not judge anyone for going prone or ratting, because I do it myself, because sometimes PUBG gives you the worst cover while feeding your enemies with the best cover. However, I would still have the heart to try to engage in fair fights, because nothing makes your adrenaline rush go hard more than clutching the fight on 1 HP instead of killing the last person with 100 HP because you were hiding in a bush. My final tips for Erangel and general play is that on the bridge in Erangel, there is a high chance you will find AEDs in addition to lots of meds and utility. So if you're missing any, the bridge is your go-to. Finally, do not focus too much on looting early game, let people loot for you and stay active and shoot at people. If you like this video, Make sure to subscribe and like to support the channel. There is also the hype like button that you can use for more exposure. And make sure to drop in the comment section your best tips for solos, and see you in the next one.